Gwyneth Paltrow. Why? Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. You may well find yourself asking the question, why, when it comes to Gwyneth Paltrow. Why are we inflicted with a person that thinks it's appropriate to sell you candles that smell of her veg, or that you should be encouraged to part with a huge amount of money for a very expensive vibrator, or that somehow your life is made better as a consequence of firing eggs up your foo? You may well be thinking, why did God bother with Gwyneth Paltrow? However, that isn't the purpose of this video. Instead, it's demonstrative of how many people fail to understand so much about why people behave as they do in the world. It's often been remarked upon, when I have assisted the many, many thousands of people through consultation, that they feel that now they've been given the key to understanding the world itself. Because not only do they understand why they've been treated in the way that they have been treated in their relationship, or that they understand why the parent did as they did towards them, why their boss has behaved in the way that they do, but then have circumstances of one particular relationship which involved a narcissist. It has then enabled them to understand so much more about other relationships that they had in their life, previous romantic relationships, whereby they realise that they have repeatedly attracted and been attracted to abusive narcissists. That it's enabled them to look at members of their family. I recall in the early days of when I started my consultations, the first one was an Australian lady way back in October 2016. But shortly thereafter I spoke to an American lady, a school psychologist, and assisted her in understanding the relationship dynamic that she had with a narcissist that was one of shelving. Thereafter, it caused her to then understand that her mother was a narcissist, and thereafter understand that a prominent member of a social group was. And she, like so many others, remarked to me, "I feel like I've been given the keys to understanding the world, HG, because now I understand so much more about why people behave in the way that they do, and also understand my part in it." And that's what's so powerful about my work. Not only is it easy to understand in terms of the way that I portray our behaviours to you, and comprehensive in taking in so many different scenarios, both in terms of the what I call pure narcissism videos and the ones about celebrities. It also then allows you to apply these lessons to so much of the people around you, so that you realise, now it makes sense why that person behaved as they did. Now I understand why my reaction caused them to respond in the manner by which they did. Now I've worked out why it troubled me so much. And yet, there remain so many people who fail to understand why certain people behave as they do, and often famous people, because they haven't worked out that this individual is a narcissist. Now take, for example, this examination of the Gwyneth Paltrow trial that comes from Camilla Long, writing in the Times. She starts with Gwyneth Paltrow and the WTF celebrity trial, my verdict. Do you have rich mom energy? Do you find yourself using cashmere as protective armour? Do you step out on the Utah ski slopes expecting a day of gentle skiing, only to discover you have somehow become involved in a cataclysmic death prang with a local retired optometrist, leading to a globally observed trial in which you showcase more clanking gold neckwear and power cream than a quivering virgin at a Dallas Society ball? If the case is yes, then I diagnose you with a terminal case of the Gwyneth Paltrows. I've been watching the actress's appearance at a trial in the Mormon heartland, and what joy it has been. Paltrow, 50, shrouded repeatedly in repentance neutrals, is accused of barging into Sanderson, now 76, on the slopes in 2016, breaking 4 of his ribs and knocking him unconscious. She says it was him, he says it was her, etc. But either way, she left the scene before you could say, après-ski champagne yurt. It's one of those extraordinary WTF celebrity trials, of which there are now a dizzying number, in which you just think, why has it come to the point where Iron Man's personal assistant is scrapping openly with someone called Terry over damages of a mere $300,000, roughly 1/3 of the cost of the cheapest vibrator, on her godforsaken charcoal-coloured loofah-pushing, fanjo-baiting website. And therein, you see, is the question. Why? Why has this happened? Now, Camilla Long answers her own question by stating, I have several theories. The first is that Paltrow is a bloodless business opportunist and sees this simply as great marketing. Partially correct. There's potentially that there's a residual benefit through marketing. She explains what better way to bring her lime nano bags and sea salt lubes to a wider audience, though not to the Mormons. Or, more likely, she is suffering from a particular 1% problem, the catastrophic inability of rich people to see when they have made a mistake. Just why else would she be here? And you see, that observation there by Camilla Long is demonstrative of the failure to recognise that it's nothing to do with her being rich, it's to do with her narcissism. The fact is, she has an inability to see that she has made a mistake because her narcissism will not let her. As I mentioned in an earlier parts passage in relation to Miss Paltrow, that many of you would think to yourself, look, you're worth $200 million, this dude's suing you for $300,000. You could have paid him off probably with half of that at an earlier juncture and then got back to designing eggs to go up vaginas. But as you know, as keen students of my work, it's not about the payoff. It's about the fact of the necessity of control, the fuel, the facade management. The fact is, Sanderson is one of the little people, and he's not allowed to threaten her control. Whilst many would say, you can easily afford to pay him off, she doesn't, because she's affronted, subconsciously, by the threat to control that's posed by him having the audacity to suggest that it's her fault. Other narcissists of a particular school would just have brushed this off. They've got more important things to do, and they would have either arranged for him to be paid off and kept silent, or intimidated into silence by other flunkies. They wouldn't have bothered with this whole charade. But the type of facade that Gwyneth Paltrow utilises is one whereby she believes herself to be a decent person, and therefore it is an affront to that facade for her to be suggested as anybody who will be skiing down a ski slope and distracted by her son shouting, "Mama, mama, look at me," and that she would crash into someone and then do a runner. No, not the beautiful angelic Gwyneth. Instead, she doesn't behave that way, and she needs to prove to you and the world that she doesn't. So it's nothing to do with her inability to see that she has made a mistake, and it is everything to do with the fact that it's all about her need to deal with the threat to control that is posed. What else does the article tell us? Well, she wrote, arriving in court, Paltrow tried to look in control in witness navy and $1,200 Celine boots. If you've toured the more expensive playgrounds of North London, you'll recognise the vibe: clamped jaw, bland, logo-less accessories, big little lies hair. The judge had already had to tell her security not to give court officials treats. What were these treats? Oscar's goodie bags containing vouchers for lipo and stays in Scottish castles. Paltrow is one of those people who are desperate to be liked, facade management, assertion of control, while not being very nice. For the first half of the morning, a stream of Sanderson's friends and tearful relatives lined up to tell us the experience had changed him irrevocably, made him dithering, slower, uncertain, while Paltrow pouted in the background. Why did she look so scornful? Well, the reason was, of course, was that these repeated testimonies threatened her sense of control. Of course, Camilla Long suggests that might it been the rectal ozone, a new therapy the actress had been promoting, see parts pass him, in which pure ozone is puffed up the anus. You've got to hand it to her. She will pay people to do literally anything, including blowing smoke up her arse. At about 9 p.m. British time, Paltrow was called to give evidence. A fragile vole-like woman got up to question her. The enormous chasm between glossy Hollywood A-lister and the hobbledy nylon-clad making-a-murderer rural lawyers suddenly became obvious. This was David and Goliath, with added fanny steams. In an uneven fight, on the one hand you have a woman who thinks nothing of spending nearly $9,000 on 4 ski instructors for each of the children she is skiing with. On the other, a set of people who've never met a celebrity before. Paltrow's defence is that she didn't do it. Denial. She explained she first knew that Sanderson had skied into her when 2 skis appeared between her skis, forcing her legs apart. There was a grunting, she said, and for a split second she thought she was being sexually assaulted. Did you know if it was an intentional assault of a sexual nature? Sanderson's lawyer asked. Was he grinding and thrusting? Peerless. Paltrow then explained how they toppled over. She screamed, they spooned for a moment, and she got up and screamed at him. You skied directly into my fucking bag. Ignition of fury. She then ran down the mountain and had lunch and a massage. At this point, the country lawyer asked if Paltrow would get up and act out what had happened to her. The lawyer would be Sanderson and the actress would play herself. Paltrow could orient my legs, as she put it. Please make Gwyneth act out her own ski rape with the hairy lawyer, I murmured. Paltrow's lawyer shot out of the gate. His client wasn't going to be reenacting grinding and grunting for the benefit of the jury, or for that matter, cackling journalists watching the live feed. In the end, Sanderson's lawyer agreed to act out both parts herself, but the point was made. This was a ludicrous trial with ludicrous people and a ludicrous Hollywood star who, at the very least, is guilty of leaving a broken pensioner to be tobogganed off a mountainside while she went off in search of chia seeds. If I were to sum up the significance of what happened, I would say it shows the lengths to which an angry famous person will go to prove that they're actually okay at skiing. Again, it's actually about the lengths that she will go to assert control over this individual because he threatens her sense of control. It's like so many things in life, people destroying other people to prove ever more minor points, or, in other words, people who are obsessed with that need for control, either consciously or subconsciously, and will achieve it no matter what the consequences are to other people. Paltrow could have settled, but her greatest fear is looking like a loser. Actually, her greatest subconscious fear is not having control. You don't spend 90% of your life sipping colon-pounding tinctures without working 100% of your time to prove to people you are perfect. But what do you risk ending up with? Global embarrassment. People with messiah complexes are so common now. In other words, narcissists. They are so convinced they are the good guys, blinded by it, that they cannot admit that they are flawed in any ways. They cannot admit it because they can't see that they are. Camilla Long writes, it's exhausting being around them, these escapists from reality. I wonder how much anything Paltrow has ever done has benefited anyone else in a meaningful way. A fair question. But once again, notice here that this commentator, if she knew that Gwyneth Paltrow were a narcissist, would have the answer to her question. And so would so many other people. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.